Today it looks ordinary. A retail park, housing estates, busy roads, people passing through without a second thought. But beneath the concrete and supermarket signs, there are ghosts here. Because this wasn't just another part of Birmingham. For 100 years, this was Longbridge. A city within a city. A world of noise, smoke, steel and pride. At its peak, more than 25,000 people worked here. Not just workers, families, generations, entire lives. People didn't simply work at Longbridge, they belonged to it. And when it disappeared, something far bigger than a factory was lost. This is a story of the rise and heartbreak and fall of a place that built Britain's cars and shaped the lives of hundreds of thousands of ordinary people. Every world has a beginning. Longbridge began in 1905. An ambitious engineer named Herbert Austin chose a stretch of land in South Birmingham to build his dream car factory. At first it was small, but it didn't stay small for long. Within just a few years, hundreds of people worked there, then thousands. And by the middle of the 20th century, Longbridge had become one of the most important car factories in Britain. But to call it just a factory doesn't even come close. Longbridge was its own universe. Behind the gates was an entire society. There were canteens, medical centres, training schools, social clubs, sports teams, work departments, and even its own internal bus network. The factory had its own rhythm, its own rules, its own language. The sound of the hooters controlled daily life. You could hear them across Birmingham. Shift started, shift ended. Dinner times, the entire area moved to the sound of Longbridge. And then there was the families. For many people, getting a job at the Austin, as local effectively called it, wasn't a career choice. It was tradition. Your dad worked there, your granddad worked there, your brothers, cousins, uncles, neighbours. Sometimes entire streets were connected to the factory. Walking through those gates for the first time was almost a rite of passage. Longbridge gave people more than wages. It gave them identity, purpose, security, pride. People built their lives around this place. Mortgages, families, friendships, entire futures. And at its peak in the 1960s, around 25,000 people worked there side by side. Imagine that. A lost industrial city hidden inside Birmingham. But what was life inside Longbridge actually like? Former workers described it with enormous affection. But also honestly, it was loud, dirty, hot, physically exhausting. The production lines never stopped. The noise was relentless. Men would go home with oil on their hands and metal dust in their hair. But despite the hard conditions, people loved the place. Because inside those walls, there was a sense of purpose. There was banter, friendship, loyalty. You suffered together, laughed together, worked together. And that created bonds that lasted a lifetime. Longbridge wasn't just producing cars, it was producing memories. And the cars themselves became part of British history. The Austin 7 helped put Britain on wheels. Affordable, practical, and revolutionary for ordinary families. Then came the Mini. Small, clever, and unmistakably British. The Mini became a global icon, a symbol of British engineering and culture. And Longbridge helped build it. Workers took enormous pride in knowing that cars leaving the production lines would travel all over the world, because every car carried a little piece of them with it. And this is where the story becomes deeply personal to me. My own dad walked through the gates of Longbridge in 1963. He was just 16 years old, a young lad starting his working life, and he stayed there for more than 40 years, eventually becoming stores manager at Northworks. Longbridge wasn't simply where he worked, it shaped his entire life, his friendship, his routines, his identity. And his story wasn't unusual, it was the story of thousands. But even great industrial giants can begin to crumble, and by the 1960s and 70s, cracks were beginning to appear. Britain's car industry was changing. Competition from overseas manufacturers were growing. Factories in Germany and Japan were becoming more modern, more efficient, more reliable. Meanwhile, Britain's industry was becoming increasingly chaotic. Austin merged with Morris to form the British Motor Corporation. Then in 1968, it became part of the huge and troubled British Leyland Empire. What followed was years of instability. Industrial disputes, strikes, poor management, failing quality. The factory that once symbolised British manufacturing pride slowly became associated with industrial decline, and yet people still believed. Every new car launch felt like a fresh chance. The Austin Metro, the Maestro, the Montego. Each one arrived carrying the hopes of thousands of workers and their families. Maybe this would save Longbridge. Maybe this would turn things around. But the problems kept getting worse. Ownership changed again and again. Austin Rover, British Aerospace, BMW. Every takeover arrived with promise. Promise of investment, promise of security, promise of a future. And every time, workers dared to hope. Then came another blow. In 2000, BMW decided to break the company apart. It kept the valuable Mini brand, sold Land Rover, and the remains of MG Rover was sold to the Phoenix Consortium for just £10. £10. Imagine giving decades of your life to a company only to watch it reduced to a price of a takeaway meal. But even then, people still believed the factory could survive, because Longbridge survived everything before. The final years felt like a slow-motion tragedy. Workers knew the factory was in danger, but many refused to believe it could truly end. Longbridge was always been there. For generations, it felt like permanent. Then came the final desperate hope, a possible deal with the Chinese company SAIC. Workers pinned everything on it. People believed this was the last chance, the final lifeline. But the deal collapsed, and in April 2005, the end finally came. MG Rover went into administration. Production stopped. Half-finished cars sat silently on the tracks. Machines that once thundered with life suddenly fell silent, and the thousands of workers were told it was over. Just like that. No dramatic goodbye, no proper ending. People left behind tools, lockers, photographs, mugs, and decades of memories. Men who had worked together for 30 or 40 years hugged each other in tears. Some walked out in silence. Others were angry. Others simply looked numb. Because this wasn't just unemployment, this was grief. One line from the Time captured it perfectly. To politicians, it was a company failure. To workers, it was the collapse of a lifetime. Nearly 6,000 jobs disappeared almost overnight, and tens of thousands more vanished across the supply chain. Entire communities were shaken, and for my dad, it was an end of a world that he had known since he was 16 years old. From 1963 until 2005, Longbridge had been his life. More than 4 decades. Imagine watching a place that shaped your entire existence simply disappear. Not because you chose to leave, because the world moved on without you. Today, if you visit Longbridge, most of it's gone. The giant assembly buildings have been demolished. The production lines are gone. The noise is gone. The hooters are silent. In their place are shops, housing estates, offices, and quiet roads. To many people, it probably looks like progress. But for former workers and their families, the landscape can feel heartbreaking. Because they don't just see buildings, they see memories. They remember where they met lifelong friends, where they learned their trade, where they spent most of their adult lives. After the closure, many former workers did eventually find new jobs, but studies show that large numbers suffered major drops in wages, and many never truly replaced the sense of identity and belonging that they had at Longbridge. Because you cannot easily replace a community built over generations. Yet despite everything, there's still enormous pride. Former workers still talk about Longbridge with affection. The friendships, the humour, the shared struggle. Even online today, old workers swap stories like soldiers remembering a lost world, and perhaps that tells us something important. Longbridge mattered, not because of the buildings, not because of the company, but because of the people. Longbridge was never just a factory. It was a family, a community, an identity. For a century, it gave ordinary people purpose, stability and pride. Generations built their lives around the factory gates, and when the factory died, a piece of Birmingham died with it. The cars stopped rolling, the assembly lines, halls disappeared, the machines fell silent. But for the memories never left, because for the people who lived there, Longbridge was their world. And even now, 20 years after the closure, you can still hear the echoes, not in the buildings, but in the stories. And maybe that's why this place matters. Because once they're gone, we realise we're never really factories at all. They were people.